It's that time of the week. It's the 5 things that I've seen from the weekend from any league. I want to mention a couple of players. It will be a couple of things from La Liga and one from the Premier League. And yes, it's an original shirt. Shall I say, it's a shirt signed originally by Leo Messi. I won't tell you what it says. The first one is a stat of the week. Did you know that not for 25 years we've had teams at the top of La Liga with such a few amount of points? 14 points. 21 it was last season, for instance. So the fact that everybody's dropping points makes it a very interesting league, of course. Competitive as always. But the fact that Real Madrid and Barcelona are not ahead, it means that their superstars are not taking them to be the super clubs in terms of goals scored and points, etc. And there is a lot of reasons for it. But very quickly, Barcelona quite clearly don't have a midfield in which they should be sustained from. It's not they don't have a regular midfield that actually makes Barcelona tick and play fluent football. For instance, this week it was Sergio Roberto before he got injured and Busquets had to come on. This is against Athletic Bilbao. Sergio Roberto as a holding midfielder. Arturo Vidal on the right-hand side of a 3 in the middle. And because he was on the right-hand side, Rakitic had to move to the left. Just didn't work. Messi had to come on later and then it all changed, of course. And Sergio Busquets did help as well. But all in all, it was a poor Barcelona. The players coming from the bench are not making a huge difference. If it's not down to Messi, the rest hasn't stepped up the plate, and that is a worrying sign for Ernesto Valverde, who is being criticised by the media. And when they do that, it's because they feel somebody inside the club do feel that perhaps Valverde is not taking the right decisions. Wrong in my eyes. I think people will have to be patient with Valverde. In the case of Real Madrid, I think we're going to see something that is impossible to avoid. The goals of Ronaldo, 90% of the goals of Ronaldo, anybody can score. What I mean by that is Bale can, if he scores about 10 more goals this season, and Benzema scores about 10 more goals than last season, and Marco Asensio has his best goal scoring season, but doesn't have to get to 25 with about 15 goals or so. Those are the goals that Ronaldo, 90% of the goals that Ronaldo scored. Is the 10% more. Is the ones scored when it's needed. Is the ones scored when Real Madrid don't play good football. That's the ones that Real Madrid are going to miss. An interesting fact is that Real Madrid have got the same points as at this stage as last season. And this was the last season of Zidane, one that by December they had lost the league. And the same as last season and the Mourinho. But we're talking about the first year of Lopetegui. Now, what you can compare this season to last season is that Cristiano Ronaldo was not there either. So this year, because of suspension, if you remember, and he did not score when he came on the first 3 games. So this year, you actually have got no Cristiano Ronaldo at all, and there are less shots on goal, less shots on target, less goals scored. So Cristiano will be missed for many reasons, but partly because of those extra goals that he scores, but also because of the intensity that he created on everybody and the tension that he created on the defence of the opposition. Atletico Madrid, they're obviously there or thereabouts, so are Sevilla, but they are a different story. They are on the way up, but this is a little bit of a background story on Real Madrid and Barcelona. I know that in England they dream of having VAR in the league, and to be honest, there is a general point to be made about VAR, about the fact that there are machines everywhere. We've got them everywhere. I've got a machine here, which is my iPad, this one, in which I look at my notes. Machines everywhere, and football for me is a simple sport that can be played with 2 stones as a goal and a ball that made almost of anything. Now, to actually bring technology into football is something I'm against. But once it's here, it's quite clearly that VAR technology has helped in certain cases. The problem is that the interpretation of the referees will always be a human thing. So for those of you that think that VAR will sort all the problems of the world, forget it. For instance, Atletico Madrid have complained this week trying to ask the referees and the federation, why is VAR for? They know exactly what it's for. What they're trying to say is, why wasn't the Casemiro foul, the handball inside the box, why was it not a penalty when, for instance, same circumstances in the Eibar Sevilla, across from the right-hand side, inside the box, Jose Angel, the defender, has got the arm in the same place as Casemiro, but actually that gets given as a penalty. And it's all down to interpretation of the referees. The referees saw the Casemiro handball, thought this was not done on purpose, not intentional, so not a penalty. The same circumstances by a different referee get seen differently. So VAR will not sort out all the controversies. What it will do, of course, it will give a bigger percentage of fairness to the game. Fairness in expense of, and it goes back to my first point, in expense of giving machines the ability to sort out a human game, a very human game. I would like just mistakes, errors from referees, from players to be part of the game. Because overcoming those mistakes, accepting those mistakes from the referee should be part of the game. Everybody makes a mistake. For me, football is life, life is football, and if there are mistakes in football, so be it. What's the problem? It's a game. But of course, as I said, technology is taking over absolutely everything, and I'm possibly the only one defending that position. One from the Premier League. We've been talking about Mourinho and Pogba on the BBC. You can see part of the podcast that I do with them in video format in the YouTube channel. And I want to give you some more clues. Basically, Jose Mourinho is acting in a way that suggests to me that he wants out. And he does that by criticizing players publicly. He has always done that. He did it at Real Madrid. It's part of his methodology. In the first instance, when it first happens, it's about provoking a reaction from the players, hoping that their pride makes them react to it and play better and train better and work harder. It used to happen with the players, say at Chelsea, or in the first time that he was at Chelsea, for instance. It did not happen so well at Real Madrid. So that criticizing of players publicly goes into a second phase, which is the one that we are at Manchester United now. Second phase being, of course, that now it's about making clear that when he gets pushed out, when he gets sacked, which I think it will happen, he can always point out at people to blame. You know, those players that I mentioned they didn't work for me. As he has said, some feel the shirt or some were harder than others. What an amazing thing to say publicly about your own squad. He's lost the changing room, there's no doubt about that. And when Pogba speaks, he speaks on behalf of the group, not just on behalf of himself. So the division is there. Fantastic stat that Jamie Carragher was pointing out in Sky Sports is the bottom, in terms of sprints, the bottom of the weekend table. Manchester United with 20 odd sprints, while the top teams have got over 100. It's a team not playing for Manchester United. Whatever happens in the Champions League, quite clearly, this is a different competition in which players want to express themselves and make sure that they get seen. The same with the manager. There were a lot of surprising faces at the West Ham coaching staff when they realised that Manchester United were playing with three, one of them not even a centre-back. Because last time they had done that was against Spurs, if I'm not mistaken, and they were destroyed by Spurs. Having said that, they played some good football against Spurs, but generally didn't feel like the solution for the squad that Manchester United has. So, surprising fact, and yet again, in my eyes, a suggestion that Mourinho doesn't want to be there anymore. One player that has caught my attention for a long while, and I even said about 6 months ago that he was going to become the best centre-back in the world, is Jimenez, the centre-back of Atletico Madrid, the best centre-back they've got. In my eyes, and I've got a couple of bets on this, Lucas and Jimenez will be the centre-backs of Atletico Madrid at the end of the season. Godin is prone to mistakes, and more importantly, he doesn't push the defence high up. And now Atletico Madrid attacking the last third. They want to keep the ball, and they need the centre-backs to be braver than this. Obviously, quite clearly, Godin feels that he's not fast enough these days, so he sometimes doesn't push the defence high up. He's comfortable on the edge of the box, and that's not what Simeone wants. For a game against Real Madrid in the derby, he wanted the spirit and the experience of Godin, but I think he's going to be dropping down the line of what it is. And I agree with Simeone, the best four centre-backs, or the best centre-back group in the world, with Savic included in that group. Jimenez, who of course signed a new contract until 2023 and has got 120 million euros bio clause, was wanted by Real Madrid before he signed this new contract, but he's there to stay at Atletico Madrid. He plays the ball from the back, he's comfortable with that. He pushed out of the 15 balls that got into the box, 9 of them was headers that he kicked away, or not kicked, headed away. And this is against Real Madrid in the derby, and he was just magnificent. When Godin made a mistake, he was just there to intercept the attacks of Real Madrid. Jimenez, one of the best centre-backs in the world, is one of the players that have caught my attention this weekend. The other one is, of course, Krzysztof Piatek, or Piątek, as Polish friends will tell me. It's Piątek, even though it's written Piatek. So there you are. And this is somebody, of course, who's got scored a lot of goals, over 20 goals at Croatia, and was bought by Genoa, and this season has become the top goal scorer in all the European leagues. So I've seen what I've seen. I've seen the goals, and what I see is a poacher, a great finisher, very good shoot, great head of the ball in the direction and the power that he has. But I wanted more. So I contacted a friend of mine who is very close to the national camp of Poland, and I asked him for information, and I'm going to share it with you. So if you bear with me, I'm going to find these WhatsApps, and he said this. He's similar to Robert Lewandowski in terms of physical side, and also his approach, very professional, focused, always in good relationship with the coach, and that is important, of course. He's been linked to Barcelona, but it's a little bit too early. They certainly are following him, and who isn't? Because he, at the moment, is flying. He's in the flow, as sports psychology says. Everything he does, it just works. Now, he told me more. He says, obviously, in the national side, they predict a very big future ahead for him. Psychologically, he's calm and predictable in the sense that he's not a diva. And his former coach from Cracovia, the team that he played for in Poland, Michal Probierz, who my friend knows very well, could say no one bad word on the man. So, the environment where he is at Genoa is good. He is ambitious, he wants a bigger thing, but interestingly enough, he says we need to see how he reacts to when he's not scoring. Let's see what happens. So far, so good, of course. The new national coach of Poland, Jerzy Brzęczyk, puts faith in him, but to be fair, he's a hunter, and unless the service gets to him, it's a problem. So he played a friendly against Ireland where he didn't play very well, but there was no goal opportunities created for him. Piątek was only a shadow on the pitch. There was no Lewandowski on that game. But as a number 9, he reckons, and I reckon, he could be very hot in the market. We all feel that he will develop into a top star. So I would say buy shares. I think it's an obvious case of a player that's going to go to places. That's it. Remember, subscribe and tell everybody that we're here. We will have regular features in the YouTube channel, of course. Thank you, Football Index, for sponsoring this part of the YouTube channel. And every week, we will look at the top 5 things that I've seen in the European competitions, including 2 or 3 top youngsters coming through or players that are making an impact. So keep an eye on that.